The galaxy had waited for the humans to speak. The great council of alien races gathered in silence, their ships surrounding the station like sharp teeth in the dark. Every species had expected the same thing. They thought the humans would walk into the hall, bow politely, and speak of peace. The galaxy believed humans came for words. They believed humans came for compromise. But they were wrong. From the very first moment, the humans were silent. Their ambassador walked in with cold eyes, carrying no banners, no bright colors, no songs of welcome. He simply sat down at the table. Behind him, 2 human soldiers stood in black armor, unmoving, as if carved from stone. The other races whispered in their own tongues, nervous, confused. Why had humans brought warriors to a meeting of peace? The council leader, a tall scaled being with golden eyes, finally spoke. "Humanity," he said, his voice echoing through the chamber, "we welcome you to the Great Council. The galaxy has suffered much war, much blood. We hope you bring diplomacy, not weapons." The human ambassador did not answer. He only placed a small device on the table. A quiet hum filled the chamber. A star map appeared above the device, glowing blue and red. The map showed dozens of worlds. Some marked safe. Some marked burning. And many marked with only one word, lost. The aliens stared at the map in shock. They knew those worlds. They had heard stories. But humans showed them all at once. The ambassador finally spoke, his voice deep, calm, and heavy with warning. "You asked us to talk. But while you speak, war spreads. While you wait, people die. Diplomacy without strength is nothing." The aliens shifted nervously. Some hissed. Some whispered. A few laughed, trying to dismiss the humans as dramatic. But then the ambassador pressed another button on the device. This time, the map changed. It showed human fleets. Not small patrols. Not fragile exploration ships. These were massive war machines. Each ship was a black blade against the stars, armed with weapons that glowed like suns. The aliens had expected humans to show fleets of trade ships, carriers of peace, explorers. Instead, they were shown war. And then came the sound. The chamber filled with the deep, echoing hum of human engines. Not from the device. From outside the station. Every alien in the chamber turned as one, looking through the vast windows. The stars outside were gone. Covered. Shadows moved in the dark, sharp and endless. Human battleships had arrived, silent and waiting, surrounding the council station with their black steel. Their cannons pointed inward. Not one ship. Not 10. Hundreds. A cold silence fell. For the first time in centuries, the council chamber felt fear. The scaled council leader rose quickly. His voice cracked. This is a violation. You were invited for peace." The ambassador finally looked up, his eyes like stone. "Peace without firepower," he said slowly, "is a lie." The words hit like a blade. The aliens froze. None of them had expected this. They had studied human history, but they thought war was only a thing of Earth's past. They thought the humans would beg for a place among the stars. Instead, humans showed they already had power to take it. One of the smaller alien races, a feathered diplomat with bright yellow eyes, tried to laugh. "This is bluff. Human ships are old. Human weapons are nothing against our empires. They—" The words cut short as a sound ripped through the chamber. A sharp, heavy boom. Outside, one of the distant moons cracked apart, glowing red. Human cannons had fired once. Just once. And a world had shattered like glass. The yellow-eyed diplomat fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The humans had not only spoken. They had shown. The ambassador turned the device off and stood. "We are not here to beg. We are not here to kneel. We are here because the galaxy is already burning. You invited humanity for diplomacy. What you will get depends on your next choice." Every alien in the chamber felt the weight of those words. The humans had not shouted. They had not threatened with rage. They had spoken quietly, calmly. But the silence behind their words was more terrifying than screams. The scaled leader swallowed hard. His claws tapped the table. "What choice do you speak of?" The ambassador walked toward the exit. His soldiers followed, black armor shining in the cold light. He did not look back. "Join us," he said. "Or stand against us. But know this, diplomacy ended the moment you asked humanity to come unarmed." The doors closed behind him. The sound echoed like a final judgment. In the silence, the alien leaders looked at one another. Some were pale. Some were shaking. For the first time in history, the council had no words. Because outside the window, the black shadows of human warships waited, patient, silent, and ready. And the galaxy understood. They had expected words. But humanity had come with firepower. The council chamber stayed silent long after the human ambassador left. No one dared speak first. The shadows of the human warships outside the station pressed down on every mind like an iron hand. The galaxy had seen many empires rise, many armies burn, but never had they seen something so sudden, so absolute. The scaled council leader sat back in his chair, claws digging into the table. His voice was low when he finally spoke. "They showed us power. But they did not say what they want." "They want everything," hissed a spined creature from the Eastern Territories. "Did you not see? They came to conquer, not to talk. They come with black ships and fire. They mean to make us kneel." Others shook their heads. Some were not convinced. Some thought it was a show, a trick. One, a long-armed insectoid, clicked its mandibles together. "Perhaps they bluff. Perhaps their ships are old, like the feathered one said. Perhaps they cannot truly fight." The scaled leader's golden eyes narrowed. He remembered the moon cracking apart in silence, shattering like brittle glass. He remembered the calm voice of the human ambassador. He shook his head. No. That was no bluff. That was a warning. While the council argued, outside the humans waited. Their ships did not move. They floated around the station like hunters around a trapped animal, silent and patient. The aliens could see them through the glass, dark hulls glowing faintly with red light. The humans had not fired again. But they did not need to. The fear was enough. Inside one of those black ships, Admiral Hale stood on the bridge. His officers moved quietly around him, watching screens, monitoring the alien station, keeping weapons hot. Hale's eyes were steady. His face was carved from stone. He knew what the aliens thought. They thought humans were reckless, dangerous. They thought humans would come roaring into the galaxy like wild animals. And maybe they were right. But Hale also knew the truth. Humanity had been invited too late. The galaxy was already burning. Wars had consumed systems, empires swallowed smaller worlds, pirates bled the weak. And all the while, the Great Council had spoken of peace but done nothing. Humanity had learned long ago that words without force were air. And air did not stop bullets. "Status?" Hale asked quietly. "Fleet ready," answered his second officer, a young woman with sharp eyes. "Weapons locked, engines primed. They know we could crush them in minutes." Hale nodded. "Good. Then let them think." Back inside the council chamber, fear turned into anger. The feathered diplomat who had mocked humans earlier slammed his claws on the table. "We cannot allow this. If we kneel now, the humans will spread across the stars like disease. They will take our colonies, our fleets, our people. We must strike first." Some nodded, others hissed in agreement. But many shook their heads. The insectoid clicked its mandibles in warning. "You saw their weapons. One shot, and a moon was gone. Do you think your fleets can survive such fire? We fight, we die." The feathered one's yellow eyes blazed. "If we do nothing, we die slower." The chamber erupted into shouting. Races that had been enemies for centuries suddenly debated side by side. Some wanted to bow to humanity, others wanted to strike, others wanted to hide. The council leader listened in silence, his mind heavy. He knew a choice had to be made. But before he could speak, alarms rang through the station. Red lights flashed across the chamber. A mechanical voice echoed through the halls. "Warning. Incoming vessels. Warning. Hostile signatures detected." The aliens froze. They turned to the great windows. From the dark came another fleet. Dozens of ships cut through the stars, flying fast and sharp. They were not human. Their hulls carried the mark of the Empire of Cran, one of the most brutal powers in the galaxy. The Cran ships spread wide, surrounding the humans and the station both. Gasps filled the chamber. The feathered diplomat's feathers shook in fear. The Cran, they are here. But why? The scaled leader's golden eyes turned cold. Because they smell blood. On the human flagship, Admiral Hale saw the new arrivals. He did not flinch. He simply folded his hands behind his back and watched the screens as the Cran ships locked weapons. The Cran commander's face appeared on the screen. It was a massive beast, tusked and scarred, wearing black armor. His voice was low and cruel. "Humans," he growled, "you think you can frighten the galaxy? You think you can bring your ships here and make demands? This is our territory. These worlds belong to Cran. You will leave now, or we will grind your fleet into dust." His words dripped with arrogance. The Council, watching from their own feeds, waited. This was the test. The humans had shown strength against the Council, but now the Cran had come, the empire that ruled through fear and endless conquest. Everyone wanted to see, would the humans bend? Admiral Hale's voice was calm, almost quiet. "No." The Cran commander roared with laughter. His tusks glistened as he leaned closer to the screen. "Then you die." His ships fired. Hundreds of glowing projectiles, missiles, and beams lit the dark. The station shook. The council chamber flickered with sparks. Alien leaders screamed in fear as explosions lit the void outside. But the humans did not move. The Black Fleet held its place, weapons silent, shields shimmering. For a moment, it looked as if the humans would be torn apart. But then, with a single order, Admiral Hale spoke. "Return fire." The stars burned. Human cannons roared as one. Blinding light filled the void. Red beams cut across space like blades of fire. Missiles streaked forward, faster than thought. In less than a breath, 5 Cran ships exploded into nothing, their wreckage scattering like ash. The Council gasped in shock. They had seen wars before, seen fleets fight for days, weeks, even months. But the humans had destroyed warships in seconds. The Cran roared in fury and pressed harder. Their ships swarmed, circling, striking from every angle. But the human fleet moved as one body, cold and efficient. Where the Cran attacked, humans countered. Where they pushed, humans broke them. Every shot was precise, every strike final. One by one, Cran ships fell. Fire spread across the void, broken hulls drifting silently. In the council chamber, the aliens watched in horror and awe. The feathered diplomat who had called the humans weak was silent now, trembling. The insectoid whispered in its clicking tongue. "They fight like machines. No, worse than machines. They fight like predators." Minutes passed, and the battle ended. The Cran fleet was gone. Burned. Broken. Scattered across the stars. The humans had lost nothing. Admiral Hale's calm face filled the council screens. His eyes were sharp, cold, and filled with certainty. "This," he said, his voice cutting through the chamber, "is what peace looks like when guarded by firepower. Remember it well." The council chamber was silent. No one dared argue now. No one dared laugh. The scaled leader closed his golden eyes. He understood. Humanity had not come for words. Humanity had come because the galaxy was weak, divided, and burning. And if the galaxy would not defend itself, humanity would. But the price of that defense would not be small. And deep in every alien heart, a question grew heavier. Had they seen humanity's strength, or only its beginning? The wreckage of the Cran fleet still drifted in the void, burning pieces glowing like dying stars. The human ships stayed in formation, black shadows against the fire. The council station floated in silence, its leaders frozen in shock. They had just witnessed the impossible. The Cran Empire, feared across half the galaxy, had been broken in minutes. But Admiral Hale's voice carried no pride. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, eyes steady, hands clasped behind his back. "Report," he said quietly. "All Cran ships destroyed," his officer replied. "No human losses. Shields are intact." The bridge was calm. There was no cheering, no celebration. The crew worked like a machine, silent and precise. To them, victory was not glory. It was survival. Hale looked toward the council station. He knew what the aliens were thinking. They were afraid. Afraid of humans, afraid of what had just happened. And fear made them dangerous. Fear could turn them into enemies. Open channel to the council, Hale ordered. The screens flickered, and the council chamber appeared. The alien leaders were pale, their eyes wide, their claws or mandibles tapping nervously. The scaled council leader leaned forward, his golden eyes heavy with questions. "You destroyed them," he said slowly. "The Kran are gone." Hale's voice was calm. "They attacked. We defended." The feathered diplomat shook his head, feathers trembling. "Defended? You slaughtered them. An entire fleet, erased in minutes. No empire in the galaxy could have done this. Not even the Kran themselves. What are you?" Hale's face was stone. He answered with only one word. "Human." The chamber fell silent. But silence did not last. Soon, whispers began to spread. Some aliens saw humanity as saviors, protectors who could shield the weak from empires like the Kran. Others saw humanity as conquerors, too dangerous to be allowed among the stars. And in the shadows of that fear, plans began to form. Not all council members wanted peace with humans. Some wanted revenge before it was too late. Inside the chamber, the insectoid leader leaned close to the scaled one. Its mandibles clicked quietly. "We cannot allow them to remain. If they can destroy the Kran, they can destroy us all." The scaled leader said nothing, but his claws tapped the table again and again. Admiral Hale saw the whispers. He saw the fear. He knew where it would lead. Humanity had made their point with fire, but fire alone did not win trust. Still, he did not retreat. He gave the council one final message. "Humanity does not ask for war," he said. "But if war comes, remember what you saw today. Remember the Kran." Then he cut the channel. The days that followed were uneasy. The council did not dismiss humanity, but they did not welcome them either. Messages spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Stories of the battle reached distant systems, carried on every channel, every ship. Some spoke of humans as heroes. Others called them monsters. And far away, in the dark halls of the Kran Empire, the news reached the high throne. The Kran overlord, a massive beast scarred from 100 battles, slammed his clawed fist onto the metal table. His roar shook the chamber. "Destroyed," he bellowed. "An entire fleet, destroyed by humans." The commanders bowed low, their armor rattling. One spoke carefully, his voice trembling. "Yes, Overlord. The humans came with warships unlike any we have seen. The fleet was erased. None returned." The Overlord's eyes burned red. His tusks glistened in the light. "Then the humans are not prey. They are hunters." His voice dropped to a growl. "Summon every fleet. Summon every soldier. Humanity will burn." The Kran began to prepare for total war. Back at the human fleet, Admiral Hale held a quiet meeting with his captains. They sat around a dark table, their faces lit by the glow of star maps. Red markers spread across the galaxy, showing Kran territory. The markers pulsed, multiplying, growing brighter. "They will not forgive us," Hale said. His voice was low, steady. "The Kran are gathering. This was not the end. This was only the beginning." One of his captains leaned forward. "Do we strike first?" Hale shook his head. "Not yet. We hold. We watch. And we wait for their mistake." Another captain frowned. "What of the council? Some of them already move against us. They fear us as much as they fear the Kran." "They will choose soon," Hale answered. "But fear makes allies as often as enemies." The council chamber was restless. The scaled leader called for order, but the aliens shouted over one another. Some demanded alliance with humanity, to use their power against the Kran. Others demanded humans be banished, or even destroyed, before they grew too strong. The feathered diplomat slammed his claws on the table, feathers shaking. "You saw what they did. You think they will stop with the Kran? Today it is them, Tomorrow it will be us. The insectoid leader clicked its mandibles in agreement. They cannot be trusted. They hide their true numbers. If they brought hundreds of ships here, how many more wait in the dark? But not all agreed. A small, frail species, their bodies thin as glass, spoke in a trembling voice. They saved us. The Kran would have destroyed the station. They could have destroyed us too, but they did not. They chose restraint. The chamber erupted again. Sides were drawn, tempers rose. The council, once united, was splitting apart. And in the silence of the shadows, a decision was made. That night, as human ships held orbit around the station, a small alien vessel broke free. It carried no flags, no council markings. It was silent, running dark. It slipped away into the stars, its engines hidden, carrying a secret message. A message for the Kran. On the human flagship, Admiral Hale stood alone at the window. He watched the stars, his hands clasped behind his back. He knew the galaxy was turning. Some toward humanity, some against. He could feel the weight of it pressing closer every hour. His second officer stepped beside him. "Do you think they'll choose us?" she asked quietly. Hale's eyes stayed on the stars. "They won't choose. Not yet. But when the fire spreads, when the Kran come again, they will have no choice." He turned from the window. His voice was steady. "And when that day comes, humanity will not wait with words." Far across the stars, in the dark fortress of the Kran, the secret message arrived. The Overlord listened. His tusks gleamed as he smiled, sharp and cruel. The council was divided. Some feared the humans. Some already whispered betrayal. The Overlord roared in laughter, a sound that shook the walls. "Good," he said. "Let them fight each other. Let the humans think themselves strong. When the moment comes, we will strike with everything. Not one human ship will remain." And in the depths of the galaxy, the Kran fleets began to move. The war had not started yet. But everyone felt it coming. The galaxy had expected diplomacy. Instead, they had awakened firepower. And now, the fire was spreading. The galaxy was holding its breath. Rumors spread faster than light, carried by ships, whispers, and broken signals. Some said humans had destroyed the Kran with forbidden weapons. Others said they had made secret deals with dark powers. And others, quieter but growing louder, said humans had come not as diplomats, not as allies, but as conquerors. The council chamber was restless again. The scaled leader sat heavy in his chair, his golden eyes dim with worry. He knew the galaxy was close to breaking. And it was not just because of the Kran. It was because of the humans. The insectoid leader clicked its mandibles, its voice sharp and cold. "They are too strong. If they stay, they will rule us all. If we wait, it will be too late." The feathered diplomat slammed its claws on the table, feathers rising in anger. "Then we strike first. We gather our fleets, unite for once, and crush them before they spread further. If the Kran could not stop them, then we will finish the work together." Gasps echoed through the chamber. Some leaders nodded quickly, desperate for an answer. Others shook their heads in fear. A small, fragile species, barely taller than a child, whispered trembling words. "If we fight them, we die. Did you not see what they did? No empire in history has done that. They are not conquerors, they are something else." But the whispers of betrayal had already taken root. That night, in the silence of the council station, ships moved in secret. Hidden signals were sent. Fleets began to form, not against the Kran, but against the humans. On the human flagship, Admiral Hale watched the council with steady eyes. He had seen this before. Not in space, but on Earth. Fear always turned into betrayal. Fear always pushed the weak to desperate choices. "Report," Hale said, his voice calm. "Signals intercepted," his officer replied. "Some council members are contacting the Kran. Others are gathering ships. They are not preparing to fight the Empire. They are preparing to fight us." The bridge fell quiet. The officers exchanged looks. For a moment, anger flickered across their faces. "They invite us here," one captain said bitterly, "then betray us the moment we save them." Hale's eyes never left the stars. His voice stayed cold. They were never ready for us. They invited diplomats. We brought fire. They will not forgive that. But it changes nothing. His second officer frowned. What if they attack? Hale's reply was simple. Then they learn what it means to attack humanity. The betrayal came sooner than expected. On the third day after the battle with the Kran, alarms rang through the human fleet. Enemy ships approached, not Kran, not pirates, but council fleets. Dozens of vessels, marked with the banners of races that had sworn peace, now came with weapons hot. The bridge lights turned red. Officers spoke quickly, calm but sharp. Enemy fleets locking targets. Multiple signatures. Station weapons powering. Admiral Hale stood silent, watching the map fill with red. His jaw tightened, but his voice was steady. Hold fire. Shields up. Let them strike first. The council fleet did not wait. A storm of weapons lit the dark. Beams, missiles, plasma, every kind of fire the galaxy had built over centuries. The human ships vanished in a storm of light. Explosions rocked the void. The council chamber shook as its own fleets unleashed their betrayal. Inside the chamber, the scaled leader stood frozen. His golden eyes trembled as he whispered, This was not my order. But it was too late. The fleets had already chosen. On the flagship, the human shields blazed with fire. The ship trembled but held strong. Officers read reports calmly, their voices steady despite the storm. Shields at 80%. No breaches. Minimal damage. Weapons hot. The bridge waited. Every officer's eyes turned to Admiral Hale. His face was carved from stone. He let the storm rage for a full minute, his hands behind his back, his voice silent. Then he spoke. Return fire. The Black Fleet came alive. Cannons roared, missiles screamed, beams cut across the void like blades. Council ships exploded one by one, their shields burning, their hulls breaking. The fleets that had come as traitors were shattered in minutes. Their firepower, once feared across the stars, now looked like sparks against a storm. On the council station, the alien leaders watched in horror. Some screamed, others wept, others could only stare as their fleets were destroyed before their eyes. The feathered diplomat, who had shouted loudest for war, fell silent, his feathers trembling as his ships burned in the void. Within an hour, the battle was over. Dozens of council ships drifted in pieces. Thousands of alien soldiers were dead. The humans had not lost a single vessel. Admiral Hale appeared on the council screens once more. His eyes were cold, but his voice carried no anger. Only certainty. You chose betrayal, he said quietly. You chose to strike us while we held our fire. Now you have seen the result. Remember this, humanity does not start wars. But we do end them. The chamber was silent. No leader dared to speak. But then, slowly, the scaled leader rose. His claws trembled, but his golden eyes burned with truth. The Kran will not stop. They will come with everything. You think you have won, but you have only made them stronger. They will gather their empire, every ship, every soldier, and they will come for you. Admiral Hale's face did not move. Then let them come. Far away, the Kran overlord listened to the reports of both battles. His tusks gleamed in the firelight. His laughter shook the hall like thunder. The council is broken, he roared. The humans stand alone. And soon, we will crush them beneath our empire. He turned to his generals. His voice was iron. Summon the full armada. Every fleet. Every weapon. The humans believe themselves hunters. We will show them what true war is. The Kran war machine began to move. Hundreds of fleets, thousands of ships, all preparing for a war unlike any the galaxy had seen before. On the human flagship, Admiral Hale stood at the window once more. The stars were quiet, but he felt the storm coming. His officers moved silently around him, preparing weapons, scanning the void, waiting for the next strike. His second officer stepped close, her voice low. They won't forgive us. Not the council. Not the Kran. They will all come for us now. Hale's eyes stayed fixed on the stars. Then we stop waiting. We prepare. Because when the fire comes, He turned, his face hard as steel. Humanity will burn brighter. The galaxy had expected diplomacy. Instead, humanity had brought firepower. And now, the galaxy itself had chosen sides. Some with the humans. Some against them. And in the dark, the Kran gathered everything for war. The next battle would not be small. The next battle would decide the fate of the stars. The galaxy was no longer calm. Every channel, every signal, every station spoke of one thing: war. The Kran Empire was moving. Their fleets, which had once guarded their borders, now gathered in massive swarms. From every colony, from every outpost, the Kran pulled soldiers, weapons, and ships. Entire systems darkened as they stripped them bare for the coming storm. The galaxy trembled. No one had ever seen such numbers. The Kran had ruled with fear for centuries, but even in their worst campaigns, they had never called everything at once. Now, they were summoning their full armada. And all of it was pointed at humanity. On the human flagship, Admiral Hale stood in the war room. The star map above the table glowed with hundreds of red marks. They spread across half the galaxy, pulsing as new fleets joined. The officers around him stared in silence, their faces hard. "They are coming," Hale said. His voice was quiet, but steady. "And they won't stop until Earth burns." One of his captains leaned forward, his jaw tight. "We should strike first. Hit their staging grounds before they finish gathering." Another shook her head. "No. If we spread ourselves too thin, they'll crush us in pieces. We must hold together." The room filled with low voices, officers debating, weighing the impossible. But Hale's eyes never left the map. He watched the red markers grow, saw the size of the storm, and felt the weight of it pressing against him. At last, he spoke. "They outnumber us. 10-1. Maybe more. If we fight them head-on, we die." The room fell silent. Every officer turned to him, waiting. "But numbers don't win wars," Hale continued. "Discipline does. Strategy does. And firepower does." His hand moved across the map. He pointed to 3 systems where the Kran fleets were gathering. "We hit here. Hard and fast. Not to win, but to remind them what it costs to fight humanity." The officers nodded slowly. The plan was madness, but it was all they had. While the humans prepared, the council tore itself apart. Some races begged for alliance with humanity, desperate for protection against the Kran. Others demanded humanity be destroyed before they grew too powerful. The scaled leader tried to hold order, but his golden eyes were heavy with despair. The council was no longer united. In the shadows, whispers spread. Fleets moved without permission. Treaties were broken. Old enemies turned on one another. The galaxy was collapsing. And through it all, one truth remained: the humans had lit the fire. The first strike came at dawn cycle. Human fleets jumped from hidden positions, black warships cutting into Kran territory like blades. In the system of Torek, 20 Kran ships stood guard. Within minutes, they were gone, burning wrecks drifting across the stars. In the system of Lorik, a Kran station exploded under a single human volley. In the system of Deiros, humans cracked a warm moon apart, its pieces falling like fire across the void. The galaxy watched in awe and terror. Humans struck like lightning, then vanished before the Kran armada could answer. Their message was clear: nowhere was safe. But the Kran were not weak. They were not careless. In the dark, the overlord of the Kran watched the reports with burning eyes. His tusks gleamed as he growled. "They bleed us. But blood is not defeat. They think themselves clever. They think they can strike and run. But soon, they will learn. When the full weight of the empire falls, there is no running." His generals bowed. His voice rose like thunder. "Let the humans strike. Let them burn. When they are done, we will crush them with everything." Admiral Hale knew the Kran would not be broken so easily. He returned to his flagship, his officers silent around him. Their raids had been victories, but they were small against the storm that was coming. "We bought time," Hale said, staring at the stars. "Nothing more." His second officer stepped forward, her voice low. "What happens when the armada arrives?" Hale turned. His eyes were cold, steady. "Then we fight. Every ship. Every cannon. Every soul. We fight until there is nothing left. Days passed. The tension grew. Every signal, every scan showed more Kran fleets joining the Armada. The galaxy watched helplessly, some cheering for the Kran, others praying for the humans. Then, it happened. The Kran Armada arrived. The void filled with fire. Thousands of ships stretched across the stars, their engines burning red, their weapons glowing. The human fleet, small in comparison, looked like shadows before a storm. The council station shook as the Armada appeared, its leaders frozen in terror. The feathered diplomat whispered, trembling, This is the end." The scaled leader closed his golden eyes. Or the beginning. On the flagship, alarms blazed. The crew moved like a machine, steady, precise. Hale stood tall, his voice strong. "Form the line. Shields up. Weapons hot." The officers spoke calmly, almost coldly. "All systems green. Fleet in position. Enemy range, closing fast." The Kran came like a wave. Their weapons fired as one, beams and missiles roaring across the void. The human fleet vanished in a storm of light. Explosions filled the dark. The galaxy held its breath. Then, through the fire, the humans answered. Black warships burned bright, their cannons roaring like thunder. Beams cut across the void, missiles screamed forward, explosions tore through Kran ranks. Entire cruisers shattered in seconds. The battle began. It was chaos. The Kran attacked from every side, their numbers endless. The humans held tight, their ships moving in perfect rhythm, shields overlapping, fire coordinated. For every human ship, 10 Kran fell. But still they came. Still they pressed. The void burned with wreckage. Hulls cracked apart, engines exploded, soldiers died in silence. The galaxy had never seen such fury, such destruction. Inside the council chamber, the alien leaders watched the battle unfold. Some wept. Some prayed. Some could only stare. They had expected diplomacy. Now they watched apocalypse. Hours passed. The battle raged on. The Kran lost hundreds, then thousands. But the humans bled too. Their shields burned, their hulls cracked, their crews fell. Even Admiral Hale's face, carved of stone, showed the weight of it. "Status," he demanded. "Shields at 50%, his officer replied. "Ammunition running low. Losses, heavy." The crew stood firm, but the truth was clear. They were holding, but only barely. Hale's eyes burned. His voice was iron. "Then we do what humanity has always done." His officers turned to him. "We endure." The battle stretched on, longer than any the galaxy had seen. Entire fleets were wiped out, replaced by more. The void became a graveyard of wreckage and fire. Still, neither side broke. But in the dark, something stirred. A shadow deeper than the rest. A presence the galaxy had not felt before. Unknown ships moved in silence, watching from the edge of the storm. Neither human nor Kran. Something else. And as the humans fought for survival, as the Kran poured their fury into the void, those unknown eyes watched closely. Waiting. The galaxy had expected diplomacy. Instead, humanity had brought firepower. Now, the fire had become a war that could consume the stars themselves. And in the shadows, something even worse was watching. The void was fire. For hours, the Kran Armada and the human fleet tore each other apart. Thousands of ships burned. Hulls cracked, shields shattered, engines exploded into silent bursts of light. The stars themselves seemed dim against the fury of the battle. The humans held the line. Black ships moved like a single body, every strike coordinated, every maneuver precise. For every 10 Kran ships, 1 human fell, but the Kran never stopped coming. Their fleets stretched across the horizon, endless waves of fire and steel. Admiral Hale stood on the bridge, his eyes locked on the battlefield. His face was stone, but his jaw was tight, his hands clasped behind his back as if holding the weight of the galaxy itself. "Status," he demanded. The officer's voice was sharp, controlled, but heavy. "Fleet losses at 20%. Shields weakening. Ammunition running low." Another spoke quickly. "Kran losses are catastrophic. thousands destroyed. But their reserves, they keep coming. Hale's eyes burned as he watched the endless red signatures on the map. They're testing us. Bleeding us dry. They know numbers win wars, if we let them. In the council chamber, alien leaders trembled as the battle unfolded on their screens. The scaled leader gripped the table, his golden eyes dim with fear. They cannot last, he whispered. Not against this. Not against so many. The feathered diplomat's feathers shook violently, his voice frantic. Good. Let them die. The humans lit this fire, now they burn in it. But others were silent. Some wept. Some prayed. Some stared in awe. For even as humanity bled, even as their ships fell, they did not break. They fought with a fury, with a discipline, with a fire no one had seen before. And deep inside, even the ones who hated them felt the same thought. If they can stand against this, what else are they capable of? The Cran Overlord sat on his throne, watching the reports come in. His tusks gleamed in the firelight. His voice was thunder, his eyes burning red. They bleed. They fall. Soon, the humans will break. One of his generals bowed low. Yes, Overlord. But at a cost. We have lost fleets beyond count. The humans fight like demons. The Overlord growled, his claws scraping the metal throne. Let them fight. Let them bleed us. When the storm is done, not one human will remain. And the galaxy will remember, the Cran crush all. On the flagship, Admiral Hale gave new orders. His voice was calm, but every word was iron. Pull the second line back. Form the shield wall. Focus fire on their command ships. The human fleet shifted, their black hulls moving like blades. They cut into the Cran lines, tearing through their command ships with ruthless precision. Where human beams struck, Cran fleets fell apart, confused and broken. But for every gap the humans made, the Cran filled it with more ships. Hours passed. The battlefield became a graveyard. The void was thick with wreckage, glowing debris, drifting corpses sealed in broken armor. Still, the humans fought. Still, they endured. Then, something changed. A shadow moved across the field. Larger than the fleets. Larger than any station. Something ancient, cold, and silent. Unknown ships slid into view at the edge of the battle. Blacker than the void, sharper than knives, moving without sound or signal. They carried no banners, no markings, no voices. The galaxy froze. The Cran halted, their fleets pulling back in confusion. The humans paused, their guns still hot but unmoving. The council chamber went silent, every leader staring at the strange shapes in horror. Who are they? Whispered the insectoid leader, its mandibles clicking nervously. No one answered. The unknown ships moved closer, surrounding the battlefield. Their presence was crushing, like a hand pressing against every mind. Even without firing, they radiated danger. And then, one of them fired. A single beam of dark light cut across the void. A Cran warship vanished, erased in silence, as if it had never existed. No wreckage. No flame. Nothing. The council leaders gasped. Some screamed. The feathered diplomat collapsed against the table, feathers trembling in terror. What is that? He cried. The scaled leader's golden eyes narrowed. His voice was heavy. Not human. Not Cran. Something else. On the flagship, Admiral Hale watched the new threat. His officers spoke quickly, their voices sharp but shaken. Unknown ships entering field. Unknown technology. Weapons, unlike anything we've seen. Another officer's voice cracked slightly. They erased a ship. Not destroyed. Erased. For the first time, silence filled the human bridge. Even Hale's officers, disciplined and cold, were shaken. But Admiral Hale's voice was steady. Do not panic. Do not fire unless fired upon. His second officer turned to him, her eyes wide. Sir, if they can do that, if they can erase ships, what chance do we have? Hale's jaw tightened. His eyes locked on the void. Then we find their weakness. Everything has won. The Cran Overlord roared in fury when the reports reached him. His tusks gnashed, his claws dug into his throne. No. The humans are ours. Who dares interfere with Cran conquest? His generals bowed low, their voices trembling. Overlord, they are not like us. Not like the humans. They are something older. Something we do not understand. The Overlord's roar shook the chamber. Then we will crush them too. But his eyes betrayed something no one had seen before, fear. The unknown ships moved again. They did not fire on the humans. They did not fire on the Cran. They simply drifted, surrounding both fleets, pressing closer and closer. Admiral Hale stood at the window, his reflection cold against the stars. "They're not here for sides," he said quietly. "They're here for all of us." His second officer's voice dropped to a whisper. "Sir, what do we do?" Hale turned slowly, his face carved from stone. "We prepare. Because this war just changed." The galaxy had expected diplomacy. Instead, humanity had brought firepower. But now, something even greater had awakened. And for the first time, both humans and Cran understood. They were not the only predators in the dark. The battlefield was silent. Wreckage floated in the void, and both the humans and the Cran froze as the black unknown ships closed in. They moved without sound, without signal, like predators circling prey. Admiral Hale stood tall, his eyes fixed on them. He had seen war, he had seen slaughter, but nothing like this. His officers waited, fear thick in the air. Then a voice came, not over comms, not through sound, but inside every mind. Cold, sharp, endless. "You fight like children over ashes. This galaxy belongs to us." The Cran overlord roared in fury, ordering his fleets to fire. Thousands of Cran weapons lit up the dark, beams and missiles striking the black ships. But nothing touched them. The blasts vanished into nothing, erased like dust in a storm. Then the unknown ships answered. Entire Cran fleets disappeared in silence. Not destroyed, erased. Gone. The galaxy shook. Even the humans felt the crushing weight of fear. But Admiral Hale did not break. He gave one order, his voice calm as steel. "Target their shadows. Fire everything." Human weapons lit the void. Where others had failed, humanity struck differently, coordinated, relentless, aiming at the strange distortions that followed the black ships. And for the first time, the unknown bled. One ship cracked, folding in on itself with a scream that rattled every mind. The cold voice faltered. "Impossible." The humans pressed harder. Side by side, alien fleets hesitated, then followed humanity's lead. For the first time, Cran and Council ships fought together, guided by human tactics. The unknown ships began to fall back, their perfect silence breaking, their formation unsteady. Admiral Hale's words echoed through the fleet. "They thought this galaxy was theirs. They were wrong. It belongs to those who fight for it." The battle ended not with the Cran's roar, not with diplomacy, but with humanity's fire. And in that moment, the galaxy understood. Humanity was not just another species. Humanity was the line between survival and extinction.